I believe that it's Todd fault, the title of my talk. So he told me to talk about strategic direction, and I have been scratching my head since I realized that that's what he expects me to do. So it will be more strategic thoughts than strategic directions, or just a collection, and let's see how it goes, because strategic, are we talking the next 40 years, or what turns something from tactic to strategic? But and personally, I like to always say that I have a conspiracy rather than strategic thinking. But okay, let's go. So always looking forward, I like to look backwards, because the only thing that I know is the history rather than the prediction. And for almost 40 years, we deployed Condor for the first time in '85. Condor, HD Condor, has been the cornerstone for our translation and computer science work. So, and the reason why I put my picture up there, which was taken a couple of weeks ago, the important part there is that IEEE decided that we deserve something for the influential contribution of the Condor system to distributed and high throughput computing. So that's the result of our translational work. And HD Condor has been the means to deliver this. So when I think strategically, I think about how do we keep HD Condor to be our tool, our means, our vector to deliver translational computer science, so that somebody probably else in 40 years will have a picture saying, you deserve a reward. And by the way, this was part of a conference that has been running for 40 years in 2020, and labeled our paper, the Hunter of Work, Condor, the Hunter of Idle Workstation, as one of two of the most influential papers in its 40 years history. And it's only because of the work of all of us. It's not, I happen to be associated with it, but and the reason for that is that the translational research is this integrated three components that are connected through a feedback loop. And while we are sitting here mainly in Madison and present the laboratory, the locale is critical. All the deployment is a critical part of the translation process. And then obviously the community is also a key part. So the challenge, the strategic thinking, is how do we continue to do all this while having the biggest, best locale to deploy it that will attract the most valuable users to build the community, and all this, including the important feedback. And this is our locale, and I apologize that when I grabbed this image, I lost China in it, so it's a perfect misalignment between my slide and the previous talk. So in Canon, it would be better if the default will not cut out anyone, because I am lazy. So so this is where, to the best of our knowledge, HT Condor is deployed. And we have 128 sites there, and this is also an opportunity to encourage anyone here in the audience that doesn't have a star. I know it's not Hollywood, and having a star may mean something different. Please let us know, and we'll be happy to add you, and we are trying to do it as anonymous as possible, because we know that there are some organizations that would rather not admit that. So it's anonymous, not only we don't provide names, but with the location is sort of a city at most, or a region. So strategically, how do we keep this and make it bigger? Because the bigger the locale is, the bigger the community, the more powerful is our translational work. So going back to the basic, throughput computing is about scaling out. And therefore, it is really about the automation and the rate of job handling. So when we think forward, I think we have to focus on how good are we in automation, and how well are we doing when it comes to the rate at which we can do things. And you heard earlier this morning how the number of observation by LIGO is going to increase by 1 or 2 orders of magnitude. This is an increase in rate. And RAO is going to generate, I don't know what, I don't have the number. And we can keep going on and on and on like this. And here are the numbers that I actually presented on Monday. But just looking at the OS pool, and that's numbers that I have, and I can talk about it, it's 18 million jobs in a month, and it goes down to 7 hertz. So it's 7 jobs per second sustained over a month. So that is where we are today, and that is just on the OS pool. And actually, when you think about what we do as automation, you can, in a way, say that we are running a robot. And suddenly you are in the AI world, because you have to collect information from the environment to make decisions and react. So if you want to, you can call HTCSS an AI-driven deep machine learning entity. Sort of also related to the tutorial that you had yesterday on Pegasus, and Doug Zane's presentation about the workflow. So out of these jobs, if I read the data correctly, we had in the month 7,000 DAG, with an average of 1,500 jobs per day. So that is another piece that we have to keep in mind. How do we deal with, or how do we facilitate this level of automation and this kind of rate where we are seeing more DAGs coming our way, and the sizes are pretty good. I know it's not like the LIGO 100,000 node DAG, but they are still the outlier. At the same time, our rate and automation has to deal with capacity coming from 51 institutions that are today providing 74 sites to the OS4 and running, the last number that I had, the 10th of July at 3 a.m. Thank you, Jason, for monitoring at 3 a.m. and sending me the data. I know that it's personally done, is close to 67,000 cores. So somebody has to manage all this. And that is why we have been focusing over the last year or so on making the access point a first-class entity in HTCSS, and I expect us to continue and treat the access point as a strategic direction. And there is quite a bit of work that needs to be done in order to really make the access point the place where the workload is placed. And then it brings in the capacity from all these institutions at the scales that we are talking, and can manage the DAGs and can manage the millions of jobs, because that is the key to the deployment and to the customer. And there are many things that we have to do with the access point to improve the usability, the functionality, the effectiveness. The effectiveness is how much capacity can I bring to the table. Maintainability is important, because if we depend on real people to deploy it, and we have to be able to observe it in many different ways. And I want to stress that the AP is not the SCAD. The AP is an entity that represents to the user where to place the workload. And you heard the other day about Pelican and about all the data part, and that is a growing piece of the story. And we must be able to manage users. And here I have sort of a list of what we have to do in the short run in order to bring the AP to where it has to be, in order to serve us as the strategic element in us getting where we need to be in 40 years.